Good morning and welcome to the Red Mic. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing okay today. Hope you have a good day today. But before we get into that, these Red Mic messages are leadership and life lessons I have picked up mostly from 25 years as a public servant, 16 years as a youth football coach and scouting volunteer, and 10 years as a mediocre athlete with far more heart than actual physical ability. Today's Red Mic message: leadership soft skills. Some of these skills seem pretty apparent. Saw a graphic a few days ago, and it was just titled Leadership Soft Skills, tools that effective leaders need in the workplace to be successful. And I really liked it. I agreed with all of the things they put on there. So I thought, yeah, let's talk about that. Well, as I started writing my script for today, I realized that there was a lot of information there, so I'm going to split them up. We're going to talk about 4 of the 8 that were listed on that graphic today. I'll talk about 4 of them tomorrow. I will say, though, some of these soft skills, yeah, I've picked them up in the workplace. I've picked them up on the sporting fields or in scouting and all of that. But some of them I picked up in college through different leadership roles with my fraternity. I was a member of a fraternity in college, and we did more than our fair share of partying. But I'm also happy to say that my fraternity usually had the highest GPA on campus, and we had, or at least compared to other fraternities, and our parties were fantastic. But I had a really good time. But some of my best friends in the world came from the fraternity, including the one that you've heard me mention a time or two, who inspired the Drink the Bourbon tag that I put on all of these Red Mics. But last night, a couple of my fraternity brothers came into town. They were going to the Jewel concert, Jewel and Melissa Etheridge. And and of course I gave them a hard time, being toxic masculinity and all of that. Had to give them a little bit of a hard time about being some of the few Y chromosome folks that were going to be there. I suspect that it was probably skewed a little bit more towards women, which is good timing. Today is also the Texas Conference for Women, 25th annual conference for women. It's at the Austin Convention Center today. Anyway, but a shout out to my fraternity brothers. Had a good time last night visiting with them. Had a meal and a couple of beverages before they went to their show, and hope they had a good time. I'll holler at them later today to find out how that all went. Anyway, today's Red Mic message. Mentioned the graphic that I saw talking about the leadership soft skills. Today I'm going to talk about 4 of the 8 that were mentioned: communication, emotional intelligence, adaptability, and conflict resolution. Now, communication is pretty self-explanatory. The better you communicate, the better you are able to express yourself, whether it's through the written word or verbally. It's the best way to get your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings across to other people. I mean, you probably remember when you were a kid, you couldn't really express yourself all that well. And in fact, one of the things that parents are continually saying to children: use your words, express yourself, trying to get those gray matter juices flowing so they can learn how to talk, so they can learn how to communicate to the world at large, and the world writ large. Can't say enough about good communication skills. It's important that you not only express yourself well, but part of communication, again, two-way street, listening actively. Communication is vital to building trust, fostering collaboration, inspiring loyalty among your staff, etc. It's not just about words, though. Nonverbal cues, tone of voice, facial expressions, body language. One of my sons, you know, he's had to work on his tone his entire life because his tone of voice, just something about it, the way he carries himself, sometimes he can come across like he's just sickened and disgusted with you, and he's just talking. He doesn't mean a thing by it, but there's a graphic, actually, I saw. It's a meme. It has Kirk Douglas on it. Kurt Douglas. Yes. No, Kurt Russell. Excuse me. Kurt Russell. And I think it's the one, I think it was when he was in one of the, I think it was in that movie Death Proof. He's wearing this silver jacket and he's got this look on his face like, yeah, you know, I'm Billy Bob Bad Boy, and you know, you're going to listen to me, and the caption underneath says, you know, people think I'm being rude or sarcastic, but I'm just talking. So work on those nonverbal cues. Again, tone of voice, facial expressions, body language. You don't want people to read things into what you're saying that just aren't there. Try to be as approachable as you can in your conversations. Okay. Probably spent too much time on that, but I think communication, of these 8, communication is probably the biggest one, so that's why I spent the most time on it. Emotional intelligence, again, you've heard me talk about Ted Lasso. He's the EI, the EQ, whatever you want to call it, the emotional intelligence goal we should all have. Emotional intelligence puts you up top. It's ability to understand, manage your own emotions, and also understand the emotions of others. So if you're stressed, you're irritable, you're unable to control your emotions, how are the people on your team going to feel about that? Seriously, think about it. Emotional intelligence is about self-awareness, empathy, and self-regulation. So if you have a high emotional intelligence, you're going to understand your triggers, your strengths, your weaknesses. And hopefully it's going to help you make conscious choices about how you respond when the 8,000,001 different ways of things that are going to pop up in the workplace are going to arise, and it's going to help you decide how you're going to react in those situations. Hopefully you'll be able to build your emotional intelligence to the point to where it happens easily, like, you know, water flowing off a duck's back. But it is going to take some work. You're not going to be there immediately. It's going to take some time. So work on your emotional intelligence. Adaptability. As a leader, as an employee, as a person, adaptability is very, very important. Change happens. In fact, change is the only constant that I can think of. Everything's going to change. Nothing today is going to be the same as it was, is going to be the same today as it is tomorrow or a week from now. You've got to be able to go with the flow, as the old song says. So what do? So embrace change, lean into it, expect it. I like it when things are predictable, but they're not always going to be. So lean into change and learn how to problem solve on the fly. Learn from your mistakes. Adaptable leaders don't panic. Okay, this is a curveball. We're going to have to do this. So you assess the situation, you identify possible solutions, you figure out who on your team has the tools necessary to address the new things that have popped up in your face. And then you make the decision, you take action, you do this, you do this, you do this. Triage it, figure out how you're going to go, and jump into action. Get your team going. Don't be afraid to try new things, to experiment, learn from your failures. I have a lot of things I don't like to hear in the workplace. One of the things that I really don't like is, well, that's the way we've always done it. Now, sometimes that's the way we've always done it is because we've tested it, it works, we're not going to change it. But sometimes that's the way we've always done it is just lazy. don't be afraid to crack a few eggs, because if you're afraid to crack a few eggs, you're not going to have the nerve when necessary to maybe crack a few skulls, metaphorically. You know, don't be afraid to upset the apple cart, because it's possible that some of the things at the bottom of that apple cart are not the freshest things in the world, and maybe not the apples that you want to actually use. So don't be afraid. Lean into change. Embrace it. Be willing to move on. Last but not least today, conflict resolution. It's vital for any team. Whether it's conflict between team members, between departments, between customers, stakeholders, anything dealing with what your entity, whether it's a business or a governmental entity, you all have your outputs, whether it's some sort of product or service that you sell, if it's some sort of service that you provide and help people facilitate paper, whatever it is you do, inevitably there's going to be conflict. I'm reminded of the situation where somebody calls a phone bank and they're just going to be in a bad mood. Well, I don't care what your data says. That's not what's happening here on the ground. Well, okay, explain it to me a little bit further. Well, I don't have to explain it, and you're just not smart, and I'm just going to dislike everything you say, and I want to talk to a manager. Sometimes those kind of situations pop up that you're just not going to be able to resolve the conflict, but those instances, frankly, are rare. There are some people that are just going to be mad no matter what you do, no matter what you say. So you just try to negate that anger as much as you can, try to be as helpful as you can, but at the end of that conversation, you might just say, all right, sir or ma'am, this is just not working. You're being abusive. I'm not going to talk to you anymore, so have a good day. Click. You don't like that to happen, but sometimes that's the only way you're going to be able to get past that particular conflict. But there are three other things when someone's just not so intractable. Hopefully everybody wants to get to the end of the tunnel and realize that it's sunlight and not the headlight of that oncoming train that's about to run over you. If the goal is to get to that sunlight, these three parts of conflict resolution are really important: mediation, negotiation, and patience. Now, mediation, you're just facilitating that conversation between parties. You're trying to make everybody feel heard, respected, that their point of view is being considered. Negotiation is then taking all of that, trying to find the common ground, trying to explore the options. I've often heard that the ideal negotiation, when two sides are just completely diametrically opposed, the ideal situation is for both parties to get a little bit, but maybe both of them not being 100% happy with what the end result is, but getting to a point to where they may not be 100% happy, but they're happy enough to live with it. Hopefully that's what happens in the dock worker strike, because for every day that those dock workers aren't working, it's almost a week's worth of negative impact all across the U.S. So here's hoping that they're able to come to a quick understanding there and get it done. We don't want to live through the kind of supply chain issues we had towards the end of COVID, do we? Oh my gosh. Gas shortages, toilet paper, all of those things. So hopefully they'll be able to find some common ground and get to a point where both sides are workable, are amenable to the end of that conflict. And then patience. Staying calm, listening as carefully as you can. Again, not just listening to hear, but listening to understand, and hopefully avoiding any impulsive reactions along the way. So, again, those are 4 of the 8 things that I wanted to talk to you. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about teamwork, decision making, mentoring, and time management. But again, today's leadership soft skills, communication, emotional intelligence, adaptability, and conflict resolution. I hope that you'll put all 8 of these, but particularly, again, communication, that's why I put it first. It's the big one. It's the one you have to master. All the rest of them, you might as well not waste your time. And that's today's Red Mike message. Ran a little bit long today. Sorry about that. But, hey, listen to it on your way to work, right? Still short enough for a commute message, right? Again, I appreciate you being here. These Red Mike messages are for you. Thank you so much. I'll see you again tomorrow. I hope you will give me a like, a follow, and a share. Until next time, don't forget, life is short. Drink the bourbon.